my God, what can we not see on the streets of internet? Honestly, what can we literally not see? White folks are now coming out now to tell us when they actually turn black, the history behind the secret of why they actually turn black. Anyways, let me recap that there was actually a trend where black people were actually coming out to be like, oh, the day I turned black and so on and so forth. Now, I was literally surprised to saw this on my timeline that white people are now doing that same trend of when I turn black. Like, why can't you just do when you turn white? Why must it be when you turn black? Why black? I keep saying it. These people are not only obsessed with every single thing we do, but they just want to hop in every single trend that we do. Anyways, let's watch this video together. Let's see actually if their reasons are genuine or they are not genuine. I don't know. Don't ask me. Watch the video yourself and answer me in the comment section. Welcome to the channel. My name is Sonia. If this is the first time tuning in, subscribe, like this video, drop me a comment, and lastly, do not forget to share. Credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And guys, with that being said, let's dive right into this video and I'll be back with commentaries.
I turned black when I decided to put on the fuchsia lipstick with the black eyeliner. That's when I turned black. And I used the brown gel to give myself a little baby swoop, the baby swoop. That's when I had decided as a teenager, not when I was born from a black mother or, was raised by a black father and had black sisters. It was when I put that lipstick and that gel on for the swoop. The swoop. That was when I turned black. That was it. Thanks for reminding me of the decision that I made. It's a great decision.
Hi, I want to talk about the day I turned black. It was November 2020. I was working in a large hospital in Mobile, Alabama, and I was a CNA. I was new to the hospital. I was a month out of orientation, and if you know hospitals very well, orientation is about a month. So that means I was working with these people for 2 months, and we had a mandatory meeting. The meeting was ran by the manager and a charge nurse who was an assistant manager also, but she was the main force during the week. And the meeting was so racially motivated. Like, I've been in a hospital atmosphere almost my whole adult life, and hospitals are usually very politically correct, and nobody steps on anybody's toes. Most meetings are, never directed at anyone. But this particular meeting, the way the management talked to us was horrible. The way they talked down to us was horrible. And the expectations that they were putting out there for us to do were impossible. I mean, I've done this for 30 years, and the things they were asking us to do were impossible. And we were all just, I won't say we were all, because I was shocked. My jaw dropped. I was new to Alabama. The other girls in the group were all black. And I could tell everyone was getting upset. I mean, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I could tell they were getting upset. But I could also tell they're used to this behavior, that this is not a new thing at this hospital. So that was on a Thursday. I made it through the day Thursday, and then I came back Friday. One of the girls said, "I've been looking for you. Where are you okay? Did you need any help?" And I said, "I've been trying to do all this stuff they were asking us to do." And she said, "Girl, don't listen to them. You just keep doing what you were doing. You're doing fine. Everything's fine." And so all weekend, I could not shake that meeting. The way they talked to us, and I just couldn't believe that they were getting by with that in a major hospital. And so I came back Monday, and I told one of the girls, they were all in their own little groups talking about it, and I don't know what they were talking about because I was new and they weren't talking to me. I was white. And it was pretty clear that this was not aimed at me. And so I said, I can't even stop thinking about that meeting Thursday to one of the girls. And she said, why are you upset? And I said, that was terrible the way they talked to us. And she's like, don't let it bother you. They weren't talking to you. And I kind of knew at the time they weren't talking to me, even though I am the same as all of them. I am getting the same pay at the same job, doing the same thing. But it was clear that they weren't talking to me, that they were talking to them. And I couldn't handle it. The following day, I became white again, and I was, for the first time in my life, a no call, no show. I didn't show up for work, and when they called me, I said, I can't bring myself to come in there. I can't bring myself to show up another day. And the charge nurse who was on the phone said, you need to talk to our manager. And I said, no, there's nothing else that needs to be said. And I never went back to that hospital. I filed a grievance, and I filed a grievance of discrimination, racial discrimination. And they said, in hostile work environment, which it was. And after 6 weeks of investigating, they called me and said that they investigated and found my allegations to be false. Even though they asked me questions and stuff, and they did ask me if I felt I was being racially discriminated against, and I said no. But everyone else that was in the meeting with me was. But anyway, they asked me a lot of questions, and they said that they investigated. They couldn't have. There's no way they could have hid that. The way that unit was running, the way that environment was so toxic, I don't know how they could have covered their tracks for whoever was doing the investigation. But anyway, I went back to my normal life. And those girls probably still work there. I mean, no one should work like that. And I think in Alabama, it might be commonplace. I'm not really sure. That's the only place I worked there. I don't live there anymore. I never want to move back there again. But I just want to say to all the black people, I was in your shoes for a mere 20 minutes. And it was horrible. And I'm sorry that this is still happening in 2024. And I just want to say, this is our time. This is your time to shine. This is the time we all need to show up at the polls, make the right choice, and change this country. Change this country for the better, and just show up. Let's change things. Thank you.
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was 1987. I'm sitting in a room. My mom is there, her best friend, my brother, and her best friend is doing my hair. I am on the verge of tears basically the entire time. I'm getting told, girl, don't be so tender-headed, and remember, pain is beauty. You want to be beautiful, right? And I had to have been thinking, no, I don't want to be beautiful. At this point, my head hurts so bad. I don't care if I'm beautiful. I just want this to be over. But I saw all those girls with those beautiful hairstyles, and I wanted that. I wanted that bad. So I went through the pain, and got out of that seat in what felt like 12 hours. It was probably more like 3, but I had finally done it. I had a head full of gorgeous braids with beads at the bottom, the whole nine. That was the day it happened. And it was a beautiful moment. That was the day that I turned black.
I was 8 or 9 years old when I turned black. I lived in a small town called Watts, California, now known as South Central Los Angeles. And in the early 1960s, in our predominantly black neighborhood, there was one Japanese family who ran the mom and pop store and lived in a tiny house behind said store. They had one daughter named Gail. Gail was a little older, probably like 10 or 11, but she asked my sister and I one day if we wanted to come and color. She said she had the 64 count Crayola crayon box that had the pencil sharpener with it. And so, of course, that was a no-brainer. My sister and I immediately said yes, because we only had the 8 count crayon box, and those crayons were either nubs or broken or almost non-functional. So we're laying on the living room floor of Gail's house just coloring away when her mother comes in from the little store. She immediately calls Gail into the kitchen. Now, I don't know what she said to Gail, but I heard Gail say, "But I don't have anybody else to play with." So now I was just minding my own business, sharpening magenta, and Gail storms back into the living room, arms folded, pouting, and she says, "My mom says you have to leave." I put magenta back in the box and we left. Now, up until that point, I was just a kid living my life, but had to be reminded by an adult how they thought of black people. Not only that, they were teaching Gail how to think about black people. Now, I want to say I have another incident where I was thrown out of a white household. If you want to hear that, just leave me a comment. And also, I know I'm late to this trend. I don't care. I march to a different drummer. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you.
This will leave you completely speechless.
The first day I realized I was black, it was 2000. We had just learned about blacks for the first time in second grade. At recess, all the white kids chased me into the wood chanting slave. My mother said I refused to come out for 3 hours. Said she thinks I was lost in the trees, but I just needed to be closer to my roots.
As a woman, having a boyfriend is a battle. If 70% of us are abused in a lifetime, what is the number of men doing it? The answer is not one man running faster than light to complete a mission, and that is what leaves me sick.
The second day I realized I was black was in a gas station. I only had 25 cents, so I searched what to spend it on. The cashier floated from aisle to aisle. Eyes fixed on my hands. That was the first time I realized skin color was a crime.
My body has become calls to write legislation, calls for ass smacks in the back of a class. My body has demanded everything except respect. I've been asked, what makes you feel unsafe? And I struggle not to yell.
Everything. The third day I realized I was black was in an all-white cafeteria. I gathered my legs under me, made rockets of my feet, and approached a girl. She told me she was not into my type of guy. I felt the words, shoot daggers into my melanin. I have never wanted to disappear so bad.
As a woman, I've learned to answer to everything except my name. Little lady is not said to mean equal, but to make sure I remember my place, I battle between wanting to own my body and accepting there's a 1 in 4 chance a man will lay claim to my skin, a plot of land for the taking.
The last day I realized I was black was in an elevator in California. To the white woman that told me she knows what it feels like to be black because she grew up poor,
I would tell you to think before you speak,
but your mind has got to be bacteria infected, and any filter through that labyrinth of nothingness might be worse than no thought at all.
There's a group of women going around the room sharing their personal definition of feminism. He is the only man in the room, and all of a sudden, the tone switches to destroying the patriarchy by annihilating all men.
Do you know what it feels like to be black? To pop lock your way in and out of hugs, it is not a problem you want to sympathize.
But to tell me you know my pain
is to stab yourself in the leg because you saw me get shot. We have two different wounds, and looking at yours does nothing to heal mine.
Never will I turn away an ally.
But when a man speaks on my behalf, that only proves my point.
Movements are driven by passion, not by asserting yourself dominant by a world that already put you there. You speak to no pain, you only fathom because we told you it was there. You know nothing of silence until someone who cannot know your pain tells you how to fix it. Every day is a crucifixion when there is no regards for lines crossed.
I fight so my voice can be heard. I fight for the voices you silence, all in the name of what is right.
The problem is you assume this struggle is attached to a social class. I am black and bold and beautiful by nature. Ain't no income that can change that.
The problem with speaking up for each other
Is that everyone is left
without a voice.
I've never felt unsafe in black spaces. This is how we know reverse racism is a lie. I went to college on Long Island, and I lived in Hempstead, New York. Very black town. I used to go to Caribbean night at my local bar. Never had a problem. Never felt unsafe. I was just at a barbecue joint in Harlem the other week with a group of white girlfriends, lily white girls. We felt completely welcome, delightful. Had a great meal, super fun time. My boyfriend and I accidentally wandered into a hookah lounge one day. We were just looking for a burger. It was kind of late. It was like 10 o'clock. And we were like, oh, that place is open. Let's go in there. We go in, the place is empty. We were like, oh gosh, are you guys closing soon? The bartender was like, oh no, like we don't get busy till like 11 or 12 at night. It's a black hookah lounge. Completely black staff. They took care of us. We had a fucking great time. Great burger, great service, laughs, fun music. Never once did anybody give me a stink eye or a dirty look or make me feel like I didn't belong in those spaces. Never once was I concerned for my safety. But I was on the national tour of a children's show called The Olympic Spirit. And this show was about Jesse Owens being in the Olympics, who of course was a black athlete. So we had a black actor in the cast portraying Jesse Owens. And we toured the Deep South, baby. I'm talking about Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi. And it was a bus and truck tour. It wasn't fancy Broadway stuff. We played schools. So one night our van pulls into this local rest stop. It was like Pete's Chicken. And it had a gas station, which we needed gas. And Jamal and I walk into Pete's Chicken to get a little snack and to use the restroom because we were on the road. And when I tell you, every white face in that place whipped around and looked at us when we walked in together. Now, we weren't together. We were just two friends, colleagues. But he was black and I was white. And I felt the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. And I know he felt it too, because I looked over at him and I was like, this feels off. This feels weird. What's happening? And he goes, yep, let's go. I don't want to get lynched here. So we left. We just turned around, whoop, and walked right out. Got in our van and drove off because we felt unsafe in a white space. The only time in my life I have felt unsafe was in a white space because they identified me in proximity to a black man and they did not like it, and I felt it in my bones. That was a formative experience for me, and it's why I like to talk about Black history in these United States, because it's not ancient history. It is still very much alive.
Oh my God. God, this is so exhausting. Everything we didn't want to do, can't you do your own? And so the day you turn white. Anyways, it is good. It is actually absolutely good to see these people coming out to to express to us why they turned black, the day they actually turned black. Most of their stories from the hospital. This one, the day she actually put a brown thing in her mouth, blah, blah, blah. That was the day she actually turned black. I'm exhausted. Why can't they just do without jumping into every single trend that black people have? I'm not saying that their reasons were not genuine or their reasons were not good. It is good to see them coming out to admire people like us, black skin girls. It's actually a good thing. But I'm just saying, like, is there even a need for them to do all of that? Anyway, there is actually a need because I'm actually filming this video. There's actually a need. And you see reasons where I said that these people love every single thing about us. These are just few people coming out to say it. Like, I have other clips that I did not even add in these particular videos. And when you go into their comment section, you see black people being like, oh my God, so you guys are really, really obsessed with us to this point? Or the day you realize you're turning black? Hey, it is well. It is absolutely well with white folks, honestly. You know, what I keep saying and why I really do appreciate these people is because some of them knew all of this. They cannot boldly hit their chest, pick up their camera and say it. So when you see people like this coming out, pick up their camera to like say the day they actually turn black, it is something very good and admiring to watch. And I really, really applaud them for that. And you guys, shout out to all of the single creators in this particular video. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you watching my videos. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are the best. You guys are the reason why I'm still here. Thank you for leaving commentaries. Thank you for sharing. You guys are absolutely the best. And guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, right? And I want to get your honest opinion in the comment section. Do you think that this particular trend that they actually did is actually a nice trend? Do you think there is a need for this trend? I just want to hear your honest opinion in the comment section. If you think so, then please let us know and appreciate them in the comment section as well. I'll keep saying it, would not support any form of fight or violence here, and credit belongs to original creators of every single clips and stitches we use in today's episode. And guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I say in my videos, I'm going to be and I'll see you guys in my next one. Don't touch the die, come back for more. Bye for now. I love you guys. The day I turned black.